tackle star Joe Thomas called it a career. Thomas, one of 3 players since the 1970 merger to be selected to a Pro Bowl in each of his first 10 seasons, along with Barry Sanders and a guy named LT. And the Browns have a league-high 5 draft picks in the first 2 rounds. That includes the 1st and 4th picks overall. Here's head coach Hugh Jackson on potential top pick Josh Allen.
He has a cannon. He can really throw a football. I think John said it. He threw a ball that hit a guy in the sternum, and I was like, I mean, you can hear it go boom. I mean, he can really throw a football. And when he does it all right from a biomechanic standpoint, from his body being in line and all that, he's as pretty as I've seen. You never know how this is going to unfold. And again, we're getting closer to knowing exactly how this thing may unfold. But we still have a lot of work to do as an organization to make those decisions.
Well, the calendar soon to turn to April, the month of the draft. Chris Mortensen back with us from Orlando. Mort, what are you hearing about the Browns' plans in next month's draft?
Well, listen, we've always believed 100% they are going to take their quarterback of the future with their first pick. In other words, they're not going to wait till the 4th pick to take that quarterback. John Dorsey, the general manager, says, are we open for business? Yeah, we're always open for business. So that's something that I think people have jumped on, but no matter what, they're going to take a quarterback. The belief is that this is Sam Darnold or Josh Allen, the Wyoming quarterback. And Baker Mayfield still in the picture because there's something about Baker Mayfield that they really like. But I really think it's Darnold or Allen that they're looking at. But they are still doing the evaluations. They're going to finish the quarterbacks, I would say, sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and they'll have a pretty good idea who they have a consensus on among the quarterbacks.
Mort, so you mentioned 3 of the 4 marquee names, at least in terms of these young quarterbacks we talk about. What about Josh Rosen? Is he in the Browns discussion?
Yeah, he's interesting because, on tape, people tell you he's the most pro-ready guy. But Jim Mora, his former UCLA coach on NFL Network last night, was asked, who would you take if you were Cleveland? And he said, without hesitation, Sam Darnold. It kind of made you sit up. And he said, it's the right fit. And he says, Sam comes from blue collar. He has a gritty attitude. He'll say the right things. His teammates will love him. Those are all traits, by the way, that any team, and he mentioned Rosen would be a better fit for New York. Well, the Giants and Jets, any coach, any general manager values those traits that he said about Darnold, which you can imply doesn't apply to Rosen. So that brings a stigma about Rosen that I think is real. People are working through it. He's really smart. Mora has said before he needs to be intellectually challenged because one of the things teams have heard about Rosen is their offense at UCLA during various times was so simple for him. He wouldn't take notes in quarterback meetings, or simply he wasn't afraid to tell the offensive coordinator, this is too simple. Give me more. Give me more. And that's not a bad thing, but he's not for everybody.
Mort, thank you. And Tom McShay said the same thing, that with a guy like Rosen, he's always going to ask why. There's a lot of why, which can be grating, if you will, to a coach at certain times. But regardless, let's go through the quarterback carousel. We're talking about the Browns, at least initially. The prevailing theory is they take a quarterback at 1. I'll let you decide.
Yeah, and Mort was saying that, and we heard Hugh Jackson talk about how, Josh Allen threw a football and hit a guy in the chest, and it made this news. He and some other guys looked at each other. You know how many more yards you get for that?
0.
0. You know how many points you get for that? 0. And arm strength is the biggest fooler in quarterback evaluation. I actually think with the Browns, what they should do with a number 1 overall pick, go ahead and take the running back. That can change your offense, and you can build around him.
Get your quarterback at 4?
So I think at 1, I'm not going quarterback at 1.
I actually agree with Tim on this one. It doesn't mean you're not going to get a quarterback in the first round. You got pick number 4. You can get your quarterback then. But Saquon Barkley, the Giants will take him if you leave him on the board. I think you got to take Saquon Barkley.
Okay, so then the Giants are on the clock then, and Barkley's gone for the sake of this
Barkley's
argument.
gone, and so everyone thinks, okay, hey, well, doesn't this make sense now? Now they can go get their quarterback. Maybe it's Sam Darnold for them. I actually think for them, they believe that Eli has stuff left in the tank. And I understand they may not be picking up this high ever again. I think we've kind of inflated this class a little bit. I actually think they go Bradley Chubb. I think it makes sense for them. I don't think the Giants take a quarterback, or I don't think they should.
We don't normally agree like this, but Josh Rosen is the quarterback that if you were taking a quarterback, I think is the best fit here.
You're talking about for the Giants.
For the Giants,
yeah.
but I agree with Tim. The last time the Giants picked this high, they picked a guy named Lawrence Taylor.
It worked out.
Bradley Chubb, we called that NC State-Louisville game against Lamar Jackson, the most exciting player in all of college football. Bradley Chubb took over that game by himself as a defensive lineman. He's a special player. At number 2, it is well worth the investment.
All right, so as we go through this, we've still got all 4 of these big-name quarterbacks on the board, and here come the New York Jets, and here traded up to 3.
Yes, and even though he looks like Eli Manning in a Jets jersey, that's actually Josh Rosen. Don't get it fooled. And I actually believe that's the right pick there. You know, we heard Mort talking about what Josh Rosen's former coach said, Jim Moore Jr., saying, hey, New York would be a good fit. I agree. And this idea of, hey, he's too smart. I understand you want your quarterback to take notes and be dialed in and all of that. He is the most pro-ready. And if your coaches can't be intellectually challenged by the quarterback, then you've got the wrong coaches.
I would agree with that.
And I think that's overplayed in a lot of this stuff because so much time has passed. There's nothing left to talk about. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, we got a long way to go, my friend. We got a whole other month.
But that's what happens sometimes in these evaluations. You talk yourself into a player, you talk yourself out of a player. If you just look at the tape, and that's really all that I've done. I was at his pro day, so I've done a little bit more than that. But just looking at the tape, in my mind, this quarterback, Josh Rosen, is the best and most ready quarterback to play quarterback in the NFL this year. And here's the beauty of it. He doesn't have to. The things that people are concerned about with this guy are these things like intangibles. They said, oh, he didn't play a lot of team sports growing up. He played tennis. He's a little different. Like,
it's really silly, some of this stuff.
Here's what's happening.
Sounds like when
you had the best.
Oh, yeah.
You had the best passing offense in college football last year. Jed Fish was calling those plays. His best friend in football is Jeremy Bates, the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. The other thing is, who's the starting quarterback for the New York Jets right now?
Josh McCown.
Josh McCown. You will not find more of a Hall of Fame person, a Hall of Fame intangibles at the quarterback position than Josh McCown. Match these two guys up in that offense in this city. I think Josh Rosen's going to go to the New York Jets, and I think it's a great call.
You're trying to make a good, valid point. Tim is not paying the appropriate amounts of attention.
He's moving on to this one.
I think you're I think you're right. I think it is a great fit. I think he would have a chance.
So we're back to Cleveland,
there.
I believe.
So now we're back to Cleveland,
at number 4.
the team that needed to get their quarterback.
For this exercise, he took Saquon Barkley. Just a reminder.
That's right. Very good memory by you,
in case someone missed it.
He did talk for a while. It's easy to forget. And so where I'm going is I'm going to Sam Darnold, the guy that many people think that they would get at number 1. And here's the deal. Saquon Barkley is definitely not there at 4. I think this really would be the ideal scenario for the Browns. I don't envision people trading out and people coming up to get Sam Darnold. You've watched him. I've watched him. The turnover thing is real, and I think it's concerning to people, not just us. So I think Sam Darnold in Cleveland still is a fit.
And I'm going to agree. And this guy, Sam Darnold, his highlight film, it's wonderful. I mean, the highlights are there. When you watch the games, the turnovers, 21 turnovers last year, that's just way too many. What I do like about this and what John Dorsey will do, he's a Ron Wolf disciple, Ron Wolf, Mike Holmgren, Andy Reid. He's going to overdo it at the quarterback position. So he's already went out and got Tyrod Taylor. He's got Drew Stanton, 2 guys that are proven that can absolutely play in this league. This guy right here needs to play a lot more like Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor probably needs to play a little bit more like him and cut it loose. We saw that with Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes last year. Alex Smith was one of the best quarterbacks in the game.
He finally did let loose.
And so I think that's a good match. You get him at number 4, take some of that stigma as number 1 overall, and you still get the two of the top offensive players.
We don't talk about that sometimes as much as I think we should. There is that sort of bullseye on your back when you're the top overall pick, and just taking off a little bit of that pressure, I would think, for certain guys.
Especially in this city with this franchise at that position.
When they've made so many mistakes, exactly. You don't have to be a number in that long list. Just
Can we also point this out?
I like his hair.
You know you have really good hair when your caricature has really good hair. Like, that's not playing around.
That's not blue collar, though.
No,
I don't know if that's blue collar.
Does this say Cleveland or what? Come on.
Still to come, the Eagles won the Super Bowl without Carson Wentz after he was lost to a torn ACL. But what about his timetable? We have an update on Wentz's recovery with Adam Schefter next.